Hi everyone, my name is Swati, lecturer in microbiology. Present I am working in Telangana Tribal Welfare Women's Degree College as a microbiology lecturer. My class is about cell structure and function. So before going to start that cell structure and function, now we will see what is a cell. Cell is the structural and functional biological unit of life. So it is a basic unit of life. That's why it is called a building blocks of life. So depending on the presence of these, the organisms are classified into two types: unicellular organisms, multicellular organisms. All organisms composed of cells. Some are made up of single cells, and these are called as unicellular organisms, while others composed of many cells are called as multicellular organisms. Here, the cell is the structural and functional unit of all living organisms, and it is given by the cell theory. Cell theory states that cell is the basic structural and functional unit of life. So, this theory was given by the scientist Schleiden Schwann. According to this theory, whatever the cells are there, they are made by one or more cells, and all the cells are existing from the pre-existing cells. So whatever the new cells are forming, they are coming from the that old cells. And according to this theory, whatever that cells are there, the cell is the smallest unit of life, means it is a basic unit of life. And Robert Hooke first time discovered the cell, and later Robert Brown he discovered nucleus. The nucleus is a control unit of cell. It is acting as a brain for the cell. Later Anthony von Leeuwenhoek first saw and described a living cell. So the according to cell theory, already I told that. So the cell theory given by the scientist Rudolf Virchow. That Schleiden and Schwann. So except Rudolf Virchow, so he told that he is a embryologist, and he given that omnicellula and unicellulae, which means whatever the cells are forming, they are coming from the old cells. The cell theory states that all life forms are made from one or more cells. Cells only arises from pre-existing cells. The cell is the smallest form of life. So depending upon the cellular organization, the cells are classified into two types: prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. Pro means primitive, means the particular nucleus is absent. Karyotic nucleus, which means nucleus. So the particular nucleus is absent in prokaryotic cells, whereas the nucleus is present in eukaryotic cells. U means real, means actual nucleus is present in eukaryotic organisms. Now coming to the prokaryotic organisms, the nucleus is absent. The particular nucleus is absent, but whatever that nuclear material is there, that is embedded in the cytoplasm, so that we call nucleide. So the best example for prokaryotic cell is bacteria, blue-green algae, cyanobacteria, and mycoplasma. So we call that fluoropneumonia-like organisms. So there are two types of eukaryotic cells. One is a plant cell and animal cell. So eukaryotic organisms are multicellular organisms, means their organisms body is made up of many cells. So in these animal cells and plant cells, they are consisting of membrane bound cell organelles, and also with these the cell wall is present in only plant cell. It is absent in animal cell. So the cell wall is present in both eukaryotes and as well as prokaryotes. But coming to the eukaryotic cells, between animal and plant cell, in the plant cell only the cell wall is present, but in animals the cell wall is absent. So now we will see the structure of prokaryotic cells. So what is a prokaryotic cell? Means it is a primitive. The particular nucleus is absent in this type of microorganisms. The examples are bacteria, blue-green algae, and cyanobacteria. Already we were discussed. So here these are the unicellular organisms. These we can't see with our naked eye. So with the help of a microscope only we can observe these microorganisms. So these are the one-celled structures. in this particular nucleus is absent, so whatever the new DNA is there, that look like say a twisted rubber band. So cell membrane bond organelles, that membrane bonded organelles are absent, so they do not having that membrane covered organelles. So whatever the prokaryotic organisms are there, all are having a particular cell wall outside the cell membrane. Example is bacteria. So if we observe the structure of bacteria, it is consisting of three layers. The outer layer is called capsule, the middle layer is called cell wall, and the inner layer is called cell membrane. Now we will see about eukaryotes. So these are the larger cells having particular nucleus. So based on the presence of nucleus, these organisms are divided as prokaryotes and eukaryotes. So eu means real. So in this that membrane bonded organelles are present. So what are the membrane bonded organelles? Mitochondria, chloroplast, Golgi apparatus, vacuoles. So these are all present in a eukaryotic cells, and with these non-membrane bonded organelles also present like ribosomes. Okay, so here in this some plants they having a cell wall, but the cell wall is absent in animal cell. If we observe the structure of plant cell, if we see the structure of plant cell, so now we will see these different parts. The outer layer is called cell wall, and then the middle layer is cell membrane, and coming to the inner layer, which we call that cell membrane. So Golgi apparatus are there, chloroplast. The chloroplast are the specialized structures which are present in the plant cell only. They are consisting of the two structures which we call that grana and stroma, so which is embedded in the thylakoid. So these are mainly in this chloroplast that photosynthesis process takes place. So the vacuoles are the special structures which is present in the plant cell only. So these are absent in animal cell. So these vacuoles are membrane sac like structures. They are filled with sap, so which consists of the number of carbohydrates and proteins. They stores the pigments. Anthocyanin pigments are stored within the vacuoles. These vacuoles are covered by the one layer. That layer is called tonoplast. And again the number of cell organelles are there. That is endoplasmic reticulum, nucleus, nucleolus, rough endoplasmic reticulum. So these are the types of endoplasmic reticulum. Mitochondria, cytoplasm. So cytoplasm, this is the innermost structure, so which is nearer to the nucleus. And now coming to the animal cell, if we observe the structure of animal cell, it is also showing the number of membrane bonded organelles, and with these so whatever that mitochondria and next one is centrioles also present in animal cell. Why? Because that cell division, so during the mitosis and meiosis, so the centrioles are involving in this process. Now we will see the different cell organelles. So what are the cell organelles? What are the parts of this cell? Now we will discuss one by one. So if we see from the outside to the inside of the cell, we will see number of parts. The first one is cell wall, cytoplasmic membrane and the cytoplasm, then nucleus, ribosomes, lysosomes, mitochondria, Golgi complex. So all are present. So now we will discuss one by one. First one is cell wall. So the cell wall, it is the outer layer of plant cell and also bacteria cell. So it is absent in animal cell. It is present in both the prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells except animal cell. So these are the outer layers, non-rigid structures which is giving the shape and strength to the cell. So these are the supporting and protecting the cells. All plant cells, so they are having the cell wall. And these animal cells do not consisting of the cell wall. If we come to the prokaryotic cell, so based on the composition of cell wall, so these bacteria members are divided into two types: gram positive bacteria and gram negative bacteria. So based on the presence of cell wall, based on the composition of cell wall, in the prokaryotic organism, the bacteria is divided into two types: gram positive bacteria and gram negative bacteria. So By the composition of these cell wall, maximum the cell wall in bacteria, it is made up of peptidoglycan. So if it is present in more layer, that is called gram positive, and if it is present in thin layer, that is called gram negative. So we can easily stain this cell wall by using the gram staining method. So this gram staining method for the first time discovered by the scientist Christian Gram. So according to this gram staining method, so we are using that gram staining indicators for knowing the types of gram positive bacteria and gram negative bacteria. When you are using these dyes for knowing the bacteria, if a sample consisting of the gram positive bacteria, it remains color positive, that purple colored coil is, whereas if it is consisting of gram negative, it remains that pink colored colonies. So the presence of these both colors, we can identify the gram positive and gram negative bacteria. So now the second structure, the second part of the cell is a cell membrane. Cell membrane is also called as cytoplasmic membrane or a plasma membrane. So it is present immediately beneath the cell wall, that is called a cytoplasmic membrane. So this structure is approximately 7.5 nanometers thick and is composed of primarily of with phospholipids, and it is a semi permeable membrane. It controls what goes in and outside of the cell, and it allows the nutrients which are useful for the growth of the cell. And in the cell membrane, it consists of the two types of proteins. They are called intrinsic proteins and extrinsic proteins. Nucleus. So what is the nucleus? The nucleus is it is a brain of the cell. It is acting, it is a control unit of cell. For the first time, the nucleus discovered by the scientist Robert Brown. So it is present in where? It is present in only in eukaryotic cells. So like the office at a school. So here these are the large dark, sometimes they are present in the center of the cell, and this is given by the Scottish scientist Robert Brown in the 1831, and the nucleus is the largest cellular organelle in animals. The presence of a nucleus is the principal feature that distinguishes eukaryotic from prokaryotic cells. So prokaryotes have a nuclear region in the cytoplasm which is called a nucleoid, while the eukaryotes have double membrane envelope nucleus. Now coming to the bacterial genome, the bacterial nucleoid is 80% DNA by mass, and it can be unfolded by agents that act on RNA or proteins. So the bacterial genome is a supercoiled genome, nothing but DNA. So it contains a genetic material. Now we are discussing about that bacterial genome. The bacterial genome is supercoiled. The nucleus has 100 independently negatively supercoiled domains. And the nucleolus which is present in the bacteria, and nucleus present in eukaryotic organisms. Remember, the actual nucleus is present in eukaryotic organisms. So instead of the nucleus is present in prokaryotic organisms. So what is nucleolus? The nucleolus is a dense spherical shaped structure present inside the nucleus. Some eukaryotic organisms contains up to 4 nucleoli. So these nucleolus, what is the function of nucleolus? The nucleolus plays an indirect role in protein synthesis by producing ribosomes. Already we know very well about the ribosomes. These ribosomes are cell organelles made up of RNA and proteins. So they are transported to the cytoplasm. So that's why these ribosomes are the protein producing structures of a cell. And this nucleus, whatever the nucleolus present in the these cell, it is disappear during the cell undergoes division and reformed after the completion of cell division. Now we will see about ribosomes. So these are the smallest organelles in cell. Each cell contains thousands of that ribosomes. Here, these ribosomes acting as a, like the teachers at a school. Why? Because they are involved in the protein synthesis. So these ribosomes are of two types in prokaryotes and eukaryotes. 70s ribosomes are present in prokaryotes and 80s type of ribosomes are present in eukaryotic organisms. So what is the function of ribosomes? Mainly they are involved in the protein synthesis. They are involved in the protein synthesis. So that is they are involved in the protein synthesis. That's why these ribosomes are called as protein factories. Protein factories. Endoplasmic reticulum. So endoplasmic reticulum, for the first time the term coined by the scientist Porter. Porter. Okay. So here the endoplasmic reticulum first time given by the scientist Porter in the year of 1945, and he had observed under the electron microscope. And this endoplasmic reticulum is a continuously connected network of tubules, cisterna and vesicle that is spread throughout the cytoplasm and is covered with a special structure that is called membrane. Now we will see the first two words. What is endoplasmic and reticulum? Endoplasmic means endo, inside, means that these organelles it is present within the cytoplasm. So the second word reticulum means that is the type of network that is spread within the cell cytoplasm. So based on the presence of ribosomes on the surface of endoplasmic reticulum, it is classified into two types: rough endoplasmic reticulum and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Rough endoplasmic reticulum. Now we will see the function of rough endoplasmic reticulum. Rough endoplasmic reticulum, it is involved in the protein synthesis, whereas smooth endoplasmic reticulum is involved in the lipid synthesis. So these rough endoplasmic reticulum plays a very important role in multiple functions, which is having that enzymes mannose 6 phosphate, and it is acting as a marker in the cis Golgi network. Now coming to the mitochondria. So we know that very well. I think mitochondria, these are called powerhouses of the cell. Why? Because whatever the mitochondria is there, that is surrounded by two layers. One is outer layer, another one is inner layer. Inner layer consisting of the number of foldings. These foldings we call that cristae. On the surface of the cristae, it consists of the F1 particles, which is involved in the cellular respiration, that is nothing but oxidative phosphorylation. So during the oxidative phosphorylation, they are involved in the production of ATP. So whatever the ATP generating in the cell, that is produced by the mitochondria only. So that's why these mitochondria, we call that powerhouses of the cell. Okay. So these means in mitochondrial genome, the one genetic material is present that is called mitochondrial DNA or mtDNA. Mitochondrial DNA or mtDNA. Now we will see about Golgi complex or Golgi apparatus. The Golgi apparatus, which is also known as Golgi body, is a eukaryotic cell organelle, and it is for the first time identified by the Camillo Golgi. So he is an Italian physicist in the year of 1898. So these are the stalk-like structures, membranous structures called cisternae. The number of cisternae in a single stack, so they are showing between 6 to 8. So in these Golgi apparatus, these Golgi bodies are found in both plant and animal cells. So the cisternae of Golgi body have 4 structural components, that is cis Golgi, endo Golgi, medial Golgi and trans Golgi. So now we will see the functions of Golgi apparatus. The main function of Golgi apparatus is to carry out processing of proteins generated in endoplasmic reticulum. So and also it is also involved in the transports into the different parts of the cell. So the Golgi enzymes are present in membranous disc of cisternae, and it is involved in the modification of cargo proteins, which is involved in the process like phosphorylation and glycosylation. Next, coming to this, and so these Golgi apparatus plays an important role in the prevention of destruction of cells. That is, we call that apoptosis. Okay. So the next, lysosomes. So these lysosomes responsible for cleaning of cells. So whatever that undigested material, they destroy worn out or damaged organs. So get rid of waste, protect a cell from harmful products, and the lysosomes are also called as suicidal bags of the cell. Suicidal bags of the cells. Why? Because these lysosomes consisting of the hydrolytic enzymes. So these presence of these hydrolytic enzymes, they can digest the unwanted material. For the first time, Christian D. Dewey isolated a class of particles. So they are showing that acid phosphatase, high content of acid phosphatase, and other hydrolytic enzymes. So these lysosomes are membranous sac filled with enzymes. They are found in all eukaryotic cells and act as a digester of the cell. So lysosomes are spherical bag-like structures that are bound by a single membrane. So whatever that lysosomes are there, their shape and size may vary between 0.1 to 1.2 micrometers. So the membrane that surrounds the lysosomes protect the rest of the cell from the hydrolytic enzymes that are contained in the lysosomes. So here there are number of types of lysosomes are there. Mainly there are 4 types of lysosomes, which the first is the primary lysosomes, and other 3 are grouped together as secondary lysosomes. The primary lysosomes stored in the form of storage granules. So next structure is vacuoles. These are the vacuoles are the special structure present in the plants only. A vacuole is a membrane bound organelle which is present in all plant and animals and bacterial cells. So vacuoles are enclosed compartments which are filled with water and inorganic and organic molecules, and also somewhat enzymes also present. So if we observe the functions of vacuoles, mainly they containing waste products, and also they are maintained hydrostatic pressure or turgor within the cell, and also they are maintaining the acidic internal pressure. So these vacuoles covered by the surrounded by a membrane called tonoplast, which means stretching or tension. Okay. So this is vacuoles and also involved in autophagy, maintaining a balance between biogenesis, production and degradation of many substances and cell structures in certain organisms. So now coming to the prokaryotic cell organism, that is example is structure of bacteria cell. So bacteria cell is the best example for prokaryotic organisms. So now we will see the bacteria cell structure. So it's showing that content. Now we will start with the introduction, then go for cell morphology. If you observe the structure of bacteria, it consists of the following parts: cell wall, plasma membrane, extracellular structure, intracellular structure. Introduction. All bacteria are unicellular organisms that reproduce by binary fission. Most bacteria are capable of independent metabolic existence and growth, but species of chlamydia and rickettsia are obligately intracellular organisms. Already we know very well that all bacteria are unicellular organisms. Why? Because they are made up of only single cell, and these are reproducing by binary fission. Binary means the cell having the capacity dividing into 2 daughter cell is called binary fission. So they are showing that independent existence, means they are not depending on any other organisms. So showing that independent existence and growth. But coming to the some species which is related to the chlamydia and rickettsia, so these are obligately intracellular organisms, means for their nutrition they are depending on another organism. So these are Compared to the all cells, the bacteria are very small, extremely small. So that's why we can't see with our naked eye. And so these, which is say size ranging from within the microns up to the 10 to the power of minus 6. So the bacterial cells are usually between 0.4 and 1.5 micrometers in short diameter. If we observe the cell morphology of bacteria, it shows the some characteristic shapes. So it is available in different forms. So the spherical shaped bacteria is called cocci, and also called round shaped bacteria is called cocci. Then rod shaped bacteria is called bacillus. Comma shaped bacteria is called vibrio. Spiral shaped bacteria is called spirillum and spirochetes. So it is available in different shapes. So based on the shapes, the names given like that: cocci, bacilli, vibrio and spirillum. Some cocci characteristically grouped in pairs. The pairing of cocci bacteria we call the diplococci, and they are present in chains. That arrangement of the chain-like arrangement of cocci is called streptococci, and a grape-like clusters arrangement of cocci is called staphylococci. And some are some round cocci from cubic pockets. So these are bacterial cells of other species. They are growing independently, means separately. So that's why for the microscopic appearance is therefore valuable in classification and diagnosis. So they are growing independently means we can identify the microorganisms easily, and the diagnosis of bacteria is also we can easily we can identify. So now see here, so these are the 4 or 5 structures. One is a round shaped bacteria called cocci, rod shaped bacteria called bacillus. So chain like arrangement of cocci, if you observe here, the chain like arrangement of cocci is called streptococci. So if the cocci bacteria is present in pairs, that arrangement is called diplococci. The spiral shaped bacteria is called spirochete. Now coming to the structure of bacterial cell. So here the bacterial structure of the protoplasm, that is the whole body of living material, it is bounded by a very thin elastic and semi-permeable membrane. So here whatever that the bacterial cell it is composed of, it is made by, it consisting of 3 layers. One is outer layer capsule, the middle layer is cell wall, and the inner layer is cell membrane. So outer layer is cell wall, it is the external layer and protecting layer, and outside of the cell wall it consisting of the extra outermost layer called capsule. So by the presence of the capsule we can identify the pathogenic nature of bacteria. So on the cell wall it consists of some external appendages which we call that villi or fimbriae and flagella. Based on the presence of flagella, the bacteria is again classified into 4 types: monotrichous bacteria, lophotrichous bacteria, amphitrichous bacteria and peritrichous bacteria. If the bacteria consisting of only one flagella, that is called monotrichous flagella. If it is showing the 2 flagella, they are present on both sets of bacteria, is called amphitrichous. If a group of flagella present at one end of bacteria, called they are lophotrichous. And the flagella present all over the surface of bacteria is called peritrichous bacteria. So based on the presence of flagella, so the bacteria is also classified into different types. So what is the function of these flagella? Mainly these flagella are locomotory organelles of bacteria. They are involved in the movement, cell movement. So the bacteria cell movement takes place by the flagella only. Now coming to the villi or fimbriae, so these are the structures coming from the cell wall or capsule, and these are mainly used for cell attachment during the reproduction process. And inside of the cell it consists of the nucleolus, which is commonly we call that nucleus. The particular nucleus is absent, that is called nucleoid. And cytoplasm, it is a sac-like fluid-like structure within the cytoplasm. So storage granules, whatever that polyhydroxybutyrin valutine granules, so these are present in the bacteria. The protoplast, the whole body of living material, is bounded by a very thin elastic and semi-permeable cytoplasmic membrane outside and closely covering these lives, so supporting cell wall which is porous and relatively permeable. Now if we see the structure of cell wall, so already I told that though based on the presence of cell wall composition, the bacteria is classified into two types: gram positive bacteria and gram negative bacteria. So in the gram positive and gram negative bacteria, the cell wall is made up of peptidoglycan layer. Now in gram positive bacteria, the cell wall is multi-layered, and in gram negative bacteria, the cell wall is two-layered. So based on the composition of cell wall, it is classified into two types: gram positive and gram negative. Now what is cell wall? The cell wall encases the protoplast and immediately external to the cytoplasmic membrane. It is 10 to 25 nanometers thick and strong, relatively rigid. So though with some elasticity and openly porous, being freely permeable to solute molecules. So it is smaller than the 10 kilodaltons in mass and 1 nanometers in diameter. So here whatever the cell wall is there, that is somewhat thick compared to the gram negative bacteria. It is multi-layered in gram positive bacteria and double layered in gram negative bacteria. It shows granular structures and lacks microfibrils. So here the whatever that structures, the important structures are present in the cell wall, and gram positive and gram negative bacteria have different types of bacterial cell wall. They are covalently bound to peptidoglycan and composed such as teichoic acid. The teichoic acid is the special component. It is unique, only it is present in gram positive bacteria, absent in gram negative bacteria. These are typically substituted polymers of glycerol phosphate or ribitol phosphate. In some bacteria, example Mycobacterium tuberculosis, the wall contains lipids, while in other strains of Streptococcus it contains carbohydrates. The composition of the wall can vary with a growth condition. For example, in Bacillus, the availability of phosphate affects the amount of cell wall, that is teichoic acid. Now, if you observe the structure of gram positive cell wall, see here, this is the cell wall and cell membrane, and coming to that cytoplasmic membrane, which is called as plasma membrane. On this plasma membrane, it's showing that intrinsic factors. See, intrinsic factors means it is made up of cytoplasmic membrane made up of phospholipids. It is a bilayered structure. It consists of proteins, intrinsic proteins and extrinsic proteins. So whatever the teichoic acid is there, that is the special feature of gram positive cell, and whatever that wall associated proteins are present in the cell. Now coming to the gram negative cell wall. The cell walls of gram negative bacteria are more chemically complex, thinner and less compact. So coming to this, peptidoglycan makes up only 5 to 20% of the cell wall, and it is not the outermost layer. Here the peptidoglycan of gram negative bacteria is located between the plasma membrane and an outer LPS, lipopolysaccharide membrane. So coming to this gram negative bacteria, lipopolysaccharide membrane is similar to the plasma membrane but is less permeable and is composed of lipopolysaccharides. So the outer membrane of gram negative cell wall is anchored. It consists of the bronze lipoproteins. The membrane is a bilayered structure consisting of mainly of phospholipids, proteins and lipopolysaccharides. Here, this lipopolysaccharide has a toxic properties and is also known as endotoxin. Lipopolysaccharide membrane showing the toxic properties and also known as endotoxin. It occurs only in the outer layer of the membrane. It occurs in the outer layer of the membrane and is composed of three covalently linked parts. They are namely lipid A, core polysaccharide, O antigen. Lipid A, it is present in the membrane, whereas core polysaccharide located at the membrane surface, polysaccharide, and O antigen. So these are the whisker-like structures from the membrane surface into the surroundings medium. So the wall of the gram-negative bacteria are more complex. The wall of the gram-negative bacteria is more complex than those of gram-positive bacteria. The most interesting difference is the presence of an outer membrane that surrounds a thin structure of peptidoglycan. So because of this membrane, the walls of gram-negative bacteria are rich in lipids. So now this is the structure of gram-negative cell wall. If you observe the structure of gram-negative cell wall and that below this structure here plasma membrane, and this is the structure of plasma membrane and a plasma membrane also called as cytoplasmic membrane. So whatever the cell wall, middle layer is cell wall, it is composed by the peptidoglycan. So two layers of peptidoglycan is there, and this is the extra layer, extra outermost layer only we can see in the gram negative cell wall only. So this outer layer, extra outermost layer is called LPS, lipopolysaccharide layer. So this LPS consisting of three parts. One is lipid A, okay, lipid A, core antigen, lipopolysaccharide, lipid A and core antigen and lipopolysaccharide. So these are the structures present in the only gram negative cell. And coming to the gram positive, so the teichoic acid is present. Teichoic acid is present in gram positive bacteria only. Okay. So now coming to next plasma membrane. So plasma membranes in bacteria are composed of phospholipids. Contains a polar group attached to 3-carbon glycerol backbone. So plasma membrane, it is a semi-permeable membrane. It is acting as it is a chemical barrier. Means it prevents the entry of unnecessary substances into the cell, and also it removes the waste from the outside, from the inside to the outside of the cell. So there are also two fatty acid chains they are present and forming the carbons of glycerol. So the phosphate end of the molecule is hydrophilic and is attracted to the water. In this whatever the fatty acids are there in the plasma membrane, they are hydrophobic in nature, and the membrane also contains protein. Typically 20 to 30% of the membrane, most of them are placed in the membrane, so that the hydrophilic amino acids are associated with the lipids in membrane and the hydrophilic amino acids outside the membrane interacting with the either cytoplasm. If we observe the function of plasma membrane, these are the plasma membrane is selectively permeable in that it helps controls what moves into and out of the cell. Means so it is controlling. So whatever the unnecessary materials, they are not coming into the cell. So it is prevented by the action of plasma membrane. So now the last coming to the last point, extracellular structures. The bacteria cell showing that some extracellular structures which is related to the villi or fimbriae and flagella. So fimbria or villi, these are elongated or hair-like proteinaceous structures which project from the cell surface. So they are specifically on those gram-negative cell. Fimbria are typically 2 to 3 nanometers in diameter and from 0.1 micrometer to several micrometer in length. They may occur all over the cell or may be localized. Here, these are the elongated structures present on the surface of the cell. What is the use of these fimbriae? Means they are involved in the cell attachment during the process of reproduction. Flagella, The next structure of bacteria is flagella. This is the also extracellular structure of bacteria. So flagella are the locomotory organelles. Locomotory organelles mainly used for the cell movement, that bacteria movement. The flagella are made by the one protein that is called flagellin. So flagella which are is at various points on the cell surface. So these based on the presence of these flagella, based on the number of flagella, so these are classified into monotrichous, lophotrichous or peritrichous. It depending on how the flagella are arranged. So now the next one is capsule. So this is the outermost layer of the bacteria cell. The capsule of most bacteria, it is made by the polysaccharides. The bacteria of a single species can be classed into different capsules based on that serovas and serotypes, based on that final chemical structure of these polysaccharides. Intracellular structures related to the plasmid, the extra chromosomal elements, the extra chromosomal genetic elements is called plasmids. For the first time the term plasmid was given by the scientist Lederberg in the year of 1952. It is a short it is a short, usually circular in circular structure and a double stranded segment of DNA. So this is the plasmid is present in the cytoplasm separate from the main bacterial chromosomes. The size varies from 1 kilobase pairs to over 100 kilobase pairs. So these are plasmids are capable of autonomous replication, and plasmids can transfer genes from one cell to another cells. If we observe the structure, so here that bacterial DNA is there and here that plasmids are there. So the bacterial DNA is a naked DNA. Coming to the extra plasma, that extra chromosomal elements are called plasmids. So they can transfer through the conjugation tube during the processing of bacterial reproduction, and they can replicate. So they have the capacity to replicate. So auto replication, in the replication also the plasmids are involved. So that's why they are called extra chromosomal elements. Now coming to the ribosomes, the cytoplasm contains a large number of solute, low and high molecular weight substances. Ribosomes are the structures which are present in both prokaryotic and as well as eukaryotic microorganisms. Already we know very well that about ribosomes. Mainly they are involved in the protein synthesis. In coming to the bacteria, 70s type of ribosomes are present. Again these are categorized into two subunits. One is 50s and another one is 30s. So in this ribosomes consisting of that RNA and proteins, which is approximately 20,000. So the bacteria having 70s ribosomes. One is 30s and another one is 50s. So that's why these ribosomes are called as protein factories, and these ribosomes as the organelles for protein synthesis. Mesosomes. So mesosomes are convoluted or multilaminated membranous bodies visible in the electron microscope. They develop by complex invagination of cytoplasmic membrane into the cytoplasm. If we observe the functions of mesosomes, these functioning in the compartment of DNA at cell division and during the sporulation. So means having a function analogous to the eukaryotic cell, providing a cell membranous support for respiratory engine. So during the bacterial cell, they are involved in the cell respiration process. Means they are providing the support system for respiration. Nucleide. So nucleide we commonly call that in bacteria. The actual nucleus is present absent in prokaryotic organisms. Instead of that nucleus, we call that nucleide. Why? Because the particular nucleus is absent. The nucleide is a region of cytoplasm where the chromosomal DNA is located. It is not a membrane bound nucleus, but simply an area of the cytoplasm where the strands of DNA are found. Most bacteria having a single circular chromosome that is responsible for replication, although a few species do have two or more cells. So these nuclei are smaller circular axillary DNA strands called plasmids and are also found in the cytoplasm. Thank you. Thank you one and all.